Good evening, College Park. It is Tuesday, 7:30 p.m. I am calling to the order of the regular meeting of the College Park City Council, College Park, Maryland. We'll begin the meeting with the moment of silent meditation, followed by Pledge of Allegiance. Tonight, this will be led by Councilmember Whitney. All right. In the meditation, please remember those lives who were lost at the in Washington and Pennsylvania because of the plane crash. I believe 67 people died in the Washington plane crash incident. Council, do you want to add anything to the meditation? Seeing none, please join me in a moment of silent meditation. Councilmember Whitney.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Be seated. We'll do the roll call, starting with District 1 on my right. Councilmember Hernandez.
Present.
Councilmember Hill.
Present.
Dr. Esters.
Here.
Ms. Whitney.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Mitchell, should I go slow? And Councilmember Mackey.
Present.
And finally, Councilmember Rigg.
Present.
And we'll do the announcement in the same order, starting with Councilmember Hernandez.
Just want to thank the Public Services Department for putting together the first in-person public safety meeting we've had in quite some time. I know that was a lot of direct feedback from the residents, and it was good to see a guest speaker to shake things up. In person is always going to be something that connects better with the community. Additionally, want to recognize the, so sorry. I'll pass from now on.
Thank you. Yeah, I also want to add that the turnout was good, and there are quite a few residents. I think we had about a total of 27 people joined last night's event. And thank you, Public Service, for making it happen. And it is good to know that this will be happening every month now instead of every quarter. Thank you, Mr. Hernandez. Mr. Hill?
Yes, thank you. I'd like to also thank staff for the wonderful Chinese, Lunar New Year's. I grew up calling it Chinese New Year's. But Lunar New Year's celebration that we had this weekend, and it was a really good turnout, really nice performances. I was very impressed with the variety of entertainment that was provided. And also on February 6th, there will be a town hall led by Congressman Glenn Ivey and Council Chair Jolene Ivey for Federal Workers Town Hall to discuss the issues and jobs of the federal workers in this area, resources and whatnot. So that was February 6th at 7:30 p.m. And there's a tiny URL. It's on Jolene Ivey's and Glenn Ivey's websites. But unfortunately, it's a tiny URL for them to give out.
Thank you. You can post it. You can paste it in the chat if you
Sure.
when you have it. Dr. Esters.
Yes, I'd just like to share that myself and Councilmember Whitney had the opportunity last week on January 29th to participate in the Restorative Justice for Lakeland Town Hall. It was an opportunity to come together with members of that community, descendants, as well as members of the University of Maryland community to talk about the harms done to that community as they work to build their historic record. So I would like to acknowledge the members of the Restorative Justice Commission as well as Justin Hansford, who led and facilitated that discussion. Thank you.
Thank you for doing it. I think I saw an article on Diamondback on that event. Probably. Thank you, Ms. Whitney.
Thank you. Yes, that was an excellent town hall. I was glad I could attend. Also, I'll second the Lunar New Year celebration being wonderful.
And colorful.
And colorful, yes. And also just wanted to thank the 21st delegation for inviting constituents out to Annapolis for dinner last night, just to talk about what the 21st delegation is doing to protect Marylanders from what is happening at the federal level. Thank you.
Thank you for attending it. Unfortunately, because of the conflict, some of us couldn't attend. We had to attend the public safety meeting.
Divide and conquer.
Yeah. Mayor Pro Tem Mitchell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, everyone. On Saturday, February the 8th, County Councilmember Eric Olson will be hosting a meeting on the Kenilworth Avenue corridor from 1 to 3:30 p.m. At St. Bernard's Church on 5700 St. Bernard Drive in Riverdale, Maryland. So I think it's something worthwhile for residents in the City of College Park and the surrounding Route 1 corridor will be able to attend to receive some good information regarding what is going on Kenilworth Avenue. And that's all I have right now from Mr. Mayor.
Thank you for sharing. Ms. Mackey?
Yes, I forgot to mention this during our time of meditation, but we had a fire in District 1 where a longtime resident had a tragedy in their home, and just wanted to just remind people to keep them in your thoughts and prayers, and really look out for your neighbors, and make sure your smoke alarms and everything are up to date. And I think that they would appreciate you thinking about them. And I also had a chance to go to the 21st delegation's meeting last night. It was very informative. And I just wanted to encourage everyone that now the University of Maryland is back in session, and it's dark earlier, and just to keep an eye out for students riding bikes, riding scooters, to be safe. And the PG County Board of Elections is looking for election judges. If any of you people that are probably retired want to help in a county election that's coming up in March, they are in need of judges. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Rick?
Thanks. I'm going to use a little bit of time today to acknowledge the amount of anxiety that I sense in our city based on certain national events and changes to our national political scene. It's an anxiety that permeates a lot of populations in our city. We have a lot of federal employees who are understandably anxious about the status of their future, jobs and careers. We have a lot of immigrants and refugees in our city who are anxious about already occurring immigration enforcement actions that are decimating some communities in this nation. We have members of our LGBTQA+ population who are understandably anxious about decreases to their rights. We have women in this city who are understandably anxious about diminishment of their reproductive rights. And I just wanted to point out a couple of things in the city of College Park that stand as real beacons and communicate who we are as a city, as an inclusive city, who protect the rights of all of our residents, and celebrate the history of all of our residents. We, as Mr. Hugh pointed out, recently celebrated the Lunar New Year here at the City of College Park. And tonight, just a little while, we do a proclamation commemorating Black History Month. And in May, we'll have our Pride celebrations in the City of College Park. This city has a real opportunity to continue to serve as an example for our surrounding community, a place where who they are at their core can be celebrated and recognized. And I wanted to point out that I think it's more important than it has been in a very long time to do that. So I appreciate all of your support. I appreciate all of our residents' support in continuing to make these important commemorations and these important messages a real focus of our collective work. So thank you, and happy Lunar New Year. Happy
thank
Black
you.
History Month.
Thank you. Thank you for the notes. Very timely. Let me go to our student liaison, Ms. Art. Welcome back.
Thank you. I know that classes have just started up again, and students are anxious about other things happening around. So I would like to mention that students and community members are welcome at the University of Maryland counseling events. There's a Spring 2025 schedule online, and they have things like wellness series and places where people can go to talk, but just happy to see students getting back into classes and looking forward to the second look fair.
Thank you. Is Deputy Student Liaison, Ms. McDonald.
Thank you. Definitely want to say welcome back to the students. It's a pleasure being on campus with everyone again. Also, happy Black History Month to those who celebrate. I tuned into the Lunar New Year celebrations as well on Instagram that the city had. Definitely enjoyed it. And I must say I commend the city for their commitment to standing for and with their residents. And also wanted to mention the University of Maryland has a language house, language chats. So it's every Monday. You can come, in a sense, learn new languages and improve upon different languages that you already know. So this is also posted on their website. Thank you.
Nice. Very nice. Thank you for sharing. Let's go to our city manager's report, Mr. Young.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, residents of College Park. Just a quick announcement. We are tracking 3 weather systems that are getting ready to hit into our area. First one, which we think is going to be more of an ice accumulation coming Wednesday night through Thursday morning. Then we have the next wintry precipitation looking Friday night into Saturday. And then we have the third one we have, looks like it's a weather system that we're expecting to hit Monday and Tuesday. It could last into Wednesday of next week. So we're not through all of the weather events just yet. You will be seeing, we started brining our roads again today. Right now, all of our trash pickups and recycling pickups are still remaining the same.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Any question for Mr. Young? Seeing none, we do not have any elected official. Actually, we have former Deputy Mayor Stephen Leggin. He's here, and he's here for a presentation, but I'm coming to that in a minute. Thank you for coming and attending. I do not see anyone attending online. Seeing none, I have 2 proclamations to make. The first one is about Black History Month proclamation, which reads as follows. Whereas Black History Month is an annual celebration of the contributions made by Black people and a time to recognize the central role of Black people in our history. And whereas we celebrate the diversity of Black people in College Park, Maryland, our nation and Black diaspora, whether they self-identify as African, African American, Afro-Latino, Afro-Caribbean, or Black. And whereas Black people have played significant roles and made lasting contributions to our city's history. And whereas while the observance of Black History Month calls our city's attention to the continued need to battle racism and to build a society that lives up to its democratic ideals, this year's celebrations and recognition of Black History Month are especially significant as we reflect on the historic challenges facing our community. And whereas Black History Month is a time for all residents of College Park to remember those who fought against racism, to secure lives of dignity and opportunity for all of our residents, advanced the cause of civil rights for all Americans, and strengthened our families and communities. And whereas this month we celebrate and affirm the importance of Black people to our community throughout our state and the nation. Now therefore be it proclaimed that Mayor and Council of the City of College Park recognize February as Black History Month and encourage residents to continue efforts to create a world that is more just, equitable, and prosperous for all. Proclaimed this 4th day of February 2024, Fazil Kabir Mayor, City of College Park, Maryland. And the second and last proclamation I have is about Women's Heart Health Month, and it reads as follows. Whereas the American Heart Association's Go Red for Women movement was launched in 2004 with the goal of raising awareness and fighting a woman's greatest health threat, cardiovascular disease. And whereas cardiovascular disease is the #1 killer of women, causing 1 in 3 deaths each year. And whereas cardiovascular disease impacts some women at higher rates than others, but the simple truth is that most cardiovascular diseases can still be prevented with education and healthy lifestyle changes. And whereas heart disease affects the blood vessels and cardiovascular system and can take many forms like congestive heart failure, abnormal rhythm of heart, as well as heart valve problems. Cardiovascular diseases, which include a stroke, claim the life of a woman about every 80 seconds, but about 80% of cardiovascular diseases may be prevented. And whereas maintaining a healthy diet and regular physical activity can reduce the risk for heart disease by as much as 80%, heart disease and a stroke can affect a woman at any age, making it crucial to understand personal risk factors and family history. Women can also experience unique life events that can impact their risk, including pregnancy and menopause, making it important for women to understand the mind-body connection and how to focus on improving both their physical health and mental well-being. And whereas the American Heart Association's Go Red for Women movement encourages women to learn their family history, to meet with a healthcare provider to determine their risk for heart disease and stroke. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Mayor and Council of the City of College Park proclaim February as Women's Heart Health Month and encourage residents to take charge of their heart health. Proclaimed this 4th day of February 2025, Fazil Kabir Mayor, City of College Park. Now we go to amendment to or approval of the agenda. Is there an amendment to the agenda, published agenda? Mr. Rigg?
Yes, Dr. Kabir, I have 3 proposed amendments to the agenda, so I'll ask for the indulgence of the council as I make them. And I believe we should probably vote on them separately because they're
Yeah, please
separate
do
matters.
separately.
So the first is probably the easiest. Proposed to move action item 25G15, authorization to disperse funds for PNC Foundation Purple Line Grant, et cetera, from the action agenda to the consent agenda.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstentions? So that is approved. This is 24G15 that goes to consent. Okay, thank you.
The second amendment is to propose to retain the public hearing for 24CR02 regarding vote 16, but pull from the action item agenda 24CR-02. So the motion is to table until the District 3 council member is seated the vote for 24CR-02.
Thank you.
Excuse
So-
me, Mr. Mayor, to the attorney,
Miss-
Ms. Anderson. Yes. Is that in proper form? Because I thought we were supposed to do it a different form.
Well, there's a couple of ways you could handle it. He's proposing to, by motion, to move it so it can be considered by the body.
Okay. All right, so I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstention? So this, we'll still be having the public hearing tonight. And thank you all who came for public hearing. But the actual vote will be taking place until the new District 3 council member is seated, right?
That's correct. And then the third motion is similar to the previous, and that is to retain the public hearing for 25 CR-01, a charter resolution regarding vacancies, but table until the District 3 council member is seated, the action item.
Second.
For 25 CR-01. Apparently it's seconded. Second?
I think Councilmember
Councilman
Hernandez
Hernandez.
got
Okay.
in
Okay.
just under the wire before me.
All in favor?
If I can just make a couple very quick comments, I'll be very brief. You know, these are substantial changes to our charter, and it's difficult as a District 3 representative to, well, I frankly can't cast the full number of votes that District 3 deserves for these two important charter amendments. So I appreciate the indulgence of the council and forestalling the official votes on these. But, you know, I also want to respect the members of the public who have queued up and have written many letters regarding both of these motions tonight, and want to make sure they respect their time. So the intention, you know, is to keep the record open. So if there's additional correspondence between now and the time of the vote, that we'd be happy to receive that additional correspondence. But the public hearing will occur tonight. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstention? So the amendment has been approved.
So move the agenda as amended.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstention? The amended agenda has been approved. Now we go to public comments on the consent agenda or non-agenda items. Any item that you do not see on the agenda or any consent agenda items, you may want to come and speak. Mr. Dorsch, please state your name and if you're a resident of College Park, and proceed with your testimony.
You already said my name, but my name is David Dorsch.
You're following the rule.
Will we be having this public hearing on the, okay.
We'll still be hearing.
That will
yes.
be later then, right? In the
Yes.
meeting. All right. Well, the thing I wanted to mention tonight is, and I've mentioned this before, the city needs to sell that house at 4704 Calvert Road. There's no reason that this city should be in the house renting business. That came when you bought the lot next to it. The lot's a great thing. I don't know what you're going to do with it. We've had several meetings with architects have come in and told us all the wonderful things they could put there, but most of the people didn't want any of them. But again, the city does not need to be in the house rental business, and you really need to think about selling that house at 4704 Calvert Road. And now's a good time to do it, because as I understand it, the feds aren't making any changes to the interest rates and things like that because they're not sure what's going to be happening here in the next couple of months. I hear some people say, well, real estate's going to start to go down. I don't know if that's the case or not. But I think right now, real estate's pretty high, and now would be an excellent time for the city to put that property on the market to get the most out of it that they can. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Anyone else wants to speak on item? I think we saw someone raised his hand, but I don't see that anymore. All right, seeing none. Actually, Hussein and Vanessa, can a staff bring Mr. Hussein in, please? Thank you. Mr. Hussein, please go ahead. Please state your name if you're a resident of College Park and proceed with your testimony.
Yes. My name is Hussein Wahid. I am working with the Advanced Technology Centers, University of Maryland, to bring about acceleration with respect to the utilization of advanced and conventional technologies with specifications and standards. So we have a proposal for dynamical systems that I have sent to the council members, and I also met the delegation for the 21st district, and we've been working with the Committee for Government Operations, Health and Government Operations, General Assembly, and they've been very supportive and understanding of the methodology that has produced large-scale transformative economic efficiency. So I wanted to share it with the council members, and I can follow up the next week, maybe with a brief overview, and also the interest from the comptroller's office and several departments in the state to implement it, conduct it as a pilot guideline and also a bill. So all the three options are available at present, and we'll try to move it the fastest way possible because of the transformative economic efficiency that has been proven over several decades.
Thank you. Please do send your information to College Park Mayor and Council at cpmc@collegeparkmd.gov.
Yes.
So all the council members will get that.
I did, but I will check later on tomorrow whether it has.
Yeah,
reached
looks
the
like
top.
our staff did not get it, so please do send one more time. cpmc
Okay.
@collegeparkmd.gov.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Mayor, wouldn't it be like to the city staff, like that you would send it to, or just, okay,
Yeah, they will receive it first, then.
okay.
Thank you. I did see another virtual hand, but I do not see it anymore. That's okay. All right, so now we can approve the consent agenda, and there are 4 of them. Let me read them out, then I will entertain a motion. The first one is 25R02, which is about resolution of the Mayor and Council adopting the recommendation of the Advisory Planning Commission regarding variance number CPV 2025-01 located at 4806 Erskine Road, College Park, Maryland, recommending approval of 1 variance and 3 validations, a 5.2-foot variance from the Prince George's County zoning ordinance, section 27-4202E2, to reduce the required 25-foot front yard setback to 19.8 feet, a variance of 11.2 feet to validate the existing front yard setback for the house, a variance of 15 feet to validate the existing lot width, and a variance of 488 square feet to validate the existing minimum lot area. The appeal period ended January 31st, 2025. The second one is 25R03, which is about the resolution of the Mayor and Council adopting the recommendation of the Advisory Planning Commission regarding variance number CPV 2025-02 located at 9533 Rhode Island Avenue, College Park, Maryland, recommending approval of 1 variance, a 1-foot side yard setback variance for deck and associated steps from the Prince George's County zoning ordinance, section 27-11003, to allow the existing deck and newly constructed steps to remain. The appeal period is January 31st, 2025. Actually, we have 3 consent agenda. The other one is 25G15, and this is the last one, and which is about the authorization to disburse funds for the PNC Foundation, Purple Line Grant, and the State of Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development DHCD Project 2.0 grant. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion
approval?
to approve the agenda,
Consent agenda.
consent agenda.
Second.
Moved by Councilmember Hernandez, second by Dr. Estes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstention? The consent agenda has been approved. Now we go to the presentation. We have 2 presentations. The first one is from the Coalition to Support Prince George's County Fire and EMS, and this will be taken by former Vice Mayor of the town of Brentwood, Mr. Stefan Leggin. Welcome, Mr. Leggin. Thank you for your work and leadership.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council, for the opportunity to speak with you today. My name is Stefan Leggin. I'm from the town of Brentwood, and I am a member of the Coalition to Support Prince George's County Fire and EMS. Councilmember Danielle Carter sends her regards. She would have loved to have been here, but she is holding her own council meeting over in Mount Rainier today. So what I'm going to try and do is incorporate some of her experiences with comments of my own. I'd also like to point out how unique this moment in time is for all of us, and I'm going to explain why the coalition was created in the first place. First off, and most importantly, the coalition is nonpartisan, and we are not endorsing any candidate. We are apolitical, and it's not personal. We are here simply to advocate for systematic changes that will improve the fire department. With a special election primary scheduled for Tuesday, March 4th, we have a really unique opportunity to make the issues plaguing the fire department an important part of this election cycle. So how do we do it? Well, together we hope to create the political and social pressure that is necessary to ensure that fire and EMS services are not forgotten and put on the back burner for other causes that I guarantee are likely more well-funded and more well-connected. We are a grassroots movement. We are a people-first movement. And we are looking to elevate this conversation around fire and EMS. So how did we get here? Well, you all know as well as I that the reallocation of firefighters this past summer impacted a lot of people. Specifically, 50 personnel across 4 stations, including Greenbelt, Bowie, Berwyn Heights, and Bunker Hill. In fact, at Station 55 down in Brentwood, we lost all of our staff, aside from one lonely part-time ambulance. And that's what we had for the last half of 2024. And sadly, it was only after experiencing 2 very high-profile deaths that the county did finally send a fire suppression and 24-hour ambulance back to Brentwood, but they did not restore services to those other stations. The sad truth is, and this is something I learned from Chief Green, the Prince George's County Fire and EMS services are automatically 25 people short at the beginning of every shift, every day. And at the current rate at which folks are graduating from the fire academy versus the rate at which people are retiring or resigning, it's going to be 5 years before we're fully staffed. 5 years is too long. The reason I'm standing before you today is that the problem is bigger than just a few of us or a few towns or you and me. It affects all of us. When a call comes into an area that doesn't have staff at their station, they call in the closest station that does have units available. And that means that it is entirely possible that a unit from College Park will end up in Brentwood or Bowie or Capitol Heights to answer a call, essentially leaving a void in College Park until that unit gets back. Prince George's is also using units from Montgomery County to answer calls, which also leaves Montgomery County uncovered. So you see, it's not just a local problem. This is a problem that is endemic to our neighboring counties, towns, and cities. Now, of course, we all know College Park is no stranger to this issue. Your city has certainly been a leader in advocating for strong and equitable fire and EMS services. But College Park is not alone. There's a lot of people speaking out, and our goal is to get them to speak together as one. Whether they are speaking individually or whether they're speaking as a group, the message is always the same: bring back our firefighters. And we've heard a lot of excuses from the county about how things are just the way they are, how change is not possible, how a lot of it is, don't worry, we got this. We saw public information requests being ignored. We saw testimony at county council meetings falling on deaf ears, and even in-person meetings resulted in more "it is what it is" type language. Leaders like yourselves and citizens that you serve are frustrated, feeling placated, and ignored. So what option do we have? What's left? And that's the good news. That's what's so exciting about this moment in time. We can use this election as leverage to elevate the need for meaningful change, to elevate the conversation. We take it to the top, to the next county executive. It's not personal. Whomever is the winner, whomever that person is, we want them to know that staffing our fire department needs to be a top priority. And we want that person to understand that there is a coalition, including municipalities, elected leaders, volunteer companies, and engaged residents who will hold the next county executive responsible for making systematic changes that support and swell the ranks, right? Because staffing is the problem here. So how do we go about this? We grab the attention of the candidates. These recommendations, the ones that you have before you, along with the signatures of leaders like yourselves, representing tens of thousands of people in Prince George's County, will send a powerful message. And we will deliver those recommendations to the candidates, that is, the coalition will, requesting our response. In addition, we will disseminate those responses via a press release, letting the public know that we are united in advocating for meaningful change. Now, let's be honest, a lot of us have been at the table in these discussions before. We all know that these recommendations, of which there are 6 with some bulleted items, could have been 100 pages long, right? And still not cover everything. But the truth is, it's not about the recommendations per se. It's about getting the candidates to understand the importance of improving the department and knowing that they have the eyes of the undersigned watching them, holding them accountable, and making sure that they support the department when the election is over. Listen, Election Day is fast approaching, and as a result, we have a really unique and, dare I say, powerful opportunity to make our case. Now is the time to lift up the discussion. Now is the time to encourage candidates to adopt measures that will prevent a repeat of last summer. Now is the time to come together and say, this is important, and this is not going away. We humbly ask that the council consider the recommendations and candidate letter that is included in your council packets and decide to join with the other municipalities and leaders and sign on, either collectively, but hopefully as a body. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your consideration, and if it pleases the body, I'm happy to answer any questions or speak about anything that needs more clarification.
Thank you. Thank you so much again for your leadership, and it is so important. And it was very heartening to see so many community members at the meetings. You and the other council member, Ms. Daniel, hosted at Brentwood. So, thank you. Keep up the good work. I have a question about in the packet also. Ms. Green, the PGFD fire chief, she responded to I think all of your points. Do you have any comment on her responses?
Yeah, I haven't looked at them in detail, but we've spoken with both Chief Green and Assistant Chief White about their response to the recommendations. Okay. And I will just say that, you know, the policies and procedures that they have in place, that they've had in place for the last 5 years, got us to the place we were this summer. And so I think it's disingenuous to say that everything is okay and that they got this, because I think the facts have borne out the truth. And that is that we are understaffed, and there is, if dare I say, a crisis in how we are staffing, hiring, and retaining our firefighters in Prince George's County.
Thank you. Council, do you have a comment? Question, Mr. Hernandez.
No, I just wanted to reemphasize that the firefighter shortage, staffing shortage, impacts College Park directly. For those of you who aren't tracking, you know, the city opened legal arbitration, you know, seeking data from the county, just data, so that we could help provide some sort of informed decision making from our posts, and we never got it. And every time that we pushed or we prodded, asking why, there was always yet another excuse. With the removal of the career firefighters at Berwyn Heights and the Greenbelt Fire Station, North College Park, the district that I represent, and the other districts of our council here are directly impacted because those stations would respond to fires in our space. This isn't new to College Park. We had, I know my District 2 colleagues have the memory longer than I do, but with our Branchville fire station, when it was at one point staffed by career firefighters. We've heard it from the community multiple times, and the frustration's really, really high. I guess the only question I have is, have you had any success in getting the candidates to prioritize this? And if so, what are some of the, you don't need to talk about the individual members, but what are some of the remarks being shared?
So we are not at that point yet,
Okay.
right? So we're trying to create sort of this concentration of support, and this is actually our final presentation, and we're going to take whomever we have as part of the coalition moving forward next week and present the recommendations to the candidates. Let you know, our media contacts know that we're presenting the recommendations as well, and hoping people follow along. Yeah.
I really think it's super important what you're doing. You're building a campaign of support across a large number of constituencies, and I greatly appreciate it. I'm going to give my colleagues the opportunity to provide comments or questions, but if there's no objections, I would really like to support writing a letter and sending of support for you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? So where do you go from here? Certainly. I see the priority list. That is very helpful. And how are you going to approach the county executive candidates? There are many of them. Are you going to have a forum or something and ask questions and see how best they can address those points?
So we're going to be addressing them directly through campaign staffers to the candidates. We're not going to be hosting a forum ourselves unless perhaps after the primary there's time to plan one. There's so many forums going up to the primary already that it's pretty saturated. And so this has been sort of a quick sort of measure that we've had to undertake. But our hope is that we'll continue to get more people undersigned after the primary election, and then whomever the last two are for the general election, then yes, hold a forum for those two.
Thank you. Please keep us posted. Ms. Whitney?
Yes, thank you for coming. When next week are you planning to finalize this?
Monday.
Because Monday? Could you wait till Wednesday?
Sure, absolutely.
Because we have another meeting next Tuesday, and approving this is currently not on the agenda, so it might be good to be able to consider it next week.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
It would be a pleasure to have your support. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Legan?
All right.
All right, that's all we have. Thank you
Mayor.
so
Thank you,
much.
Council.
Keep us posted, and I appreciate your leadership again.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. So our next presentation is about the second quarter FY24 strategic plan update. And while this presentation will be made by our Assistant City Manager, Mr. Gardiner, and Mayor Pro Tem Mitchell need your help in running this, I need to step out to take care of the oath taking of our Attic Tower Residence Commissioner, Ms. Jones. I think you are in the audience, right? Thank you. So we'll be going out to take your oath, and then in the meantime, Mayor Pro Tem Mitchell will be running the presentation. I don't want Ms. Jones to be waiting here the rest of the night because our council meetings sometimes go pretty long.
Yeah. And congratulations to you, Ms. Jones, and to your family for being here.
Thank you.
Assistant City Manager Gardner.
Right. Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is an update on the second quarter of this year's strategic plan, the quarter ending December 31st. And in your packet, you've got the cover sheet, which talks about some of the kind of highlights of accomplishments during the quarter. For those in the audience, we've selected
Excuse me,
the
Mr. Gardner.
contractor.
Excuse me, Mr. Gardner. Do you have a presentation that you're going to be?
Yeah, it'll come up
Okay.
in a sec. I can, let's see here. Was gonna,
Everyone, that's
Okay.
my dog.
all right. The city selected the contractor for the Duval Field project, and this quarter we hope to have a groundbreaking for that. And you may not have been aware, but there have been some.
Mr. Yeah, people can't see. It's a small
That's gonna.
top.
I don't know if we're able to put that on that screen, but I'll ask our AV operator. Apologies for that. Is it on your? No. Okay. If we can have the presentation on the side. Yeah, see, we have an issue with this projector that does that. So in the Department of Public Services, we've, over the last 6 months or so, have had a couple changes and additions of personnel and some changes to the scheduling for coverage, and that was accomplished in the last quarter. One item that you'll see in the list of objectives that we didn't accomplish this year, this past quarter, was the Social Sports League, and we will probably be coming back to you to have a discussion about how to proceed on that. In your packet, you have this document, which has kind of green or red lights on the 37 different objectives that we had. That's 37 across all of our departments. And I'll just kind of go to the presentation to highlight a few of those. The city received almost 22 million in ARPA funding, and per the requirements, all of those funds have been obligated as of the end of the year. That was a pretty big accomplishment for finance. Obligated does not mean that they've been invested or expended yet, but they have been appropriately put in place to be spent. I hope you've seen the communications that we've been putting out on social media and other documents in Spanish. That followed the hiring of a new communications position who is bilingual, a person who's bilingual. We are just about ready to do a ribbon cutting for the College Park Woods Clubhouse. And again, this is kind of a behind-the-scenes operation. We've completely updated, replaced our finance system, and that includes our payroll system. It's called Tyler. It's been a couple-year process, and that process has been successfully completed. This was a little bit less than a year ago in April when we had the groundbreaking of the clubhouse. And this is what the clubhouse looks like today. We're waiting, I think, for furniture to be installed and a few small items. We have a use and occupancy, and we'll be scheduling the ribbon cutting. I'm sorry, the ribbon cutting for that probably in March. The 4704 Calvert Road property that the city purchased required some cosmetics, some not quite structural, but more significant repairs that the council approved last year. All of those have been completed, that could be completed given the weather, and that included some significant renovations to this back porch. That is how the building looks today. We still have to do window work, foundation, painting, shutters, and some other kind of minor painting projects that once it gets warmer and stays warmer, we'll be able to complete. For this quarter, we'll do the groundbreaking for Duval. We need to do some more work internally on our procurement policies that we'll be advancing. In your packet, the staff work on equity and inclusion is a little bit underrepresented because, in fact, we did have some trainings. We had a consultant come in and take care of those trainings. So we haven't been able, as we've talked before, to have our race equity officer focus on both Lakeland and restorative justice and internal training. And so we've brought in some outside trainers to help with that. This quarter we'll also be working on the election and our advance scheduled for March 25th. And then, of course, the city budget that we have a Saturday work session April 2nd, I believe. Is that correct? Wait, work session in April. So that is all I have, and be happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Thank you. Any question for Mr. Gardner? Thank you for your work.
Sure. Susan.
Ms. Whitney.
Yes, I was wondering about the 72% grade for the tutoring program on progress. And also another question, also the 0% on animal welfare. Is that just a lagging indicator?
No,
or-
that actually should be 100%.
Okay.
It wasn't updated properly, but yes, we did hire the second animal welfare position, and that should be 100%. For the tutoring program, I spoke to Director Barber, and it's just been a challenge to get the number of enrollees that we had hoped to get. And they've done some things offering sort of incentives to get the students to enroll, but we'll probably have to have some conversations about, whether we continue with that approach or look at another way to facilitate student improvement. Just sort of anecdotally, as a parent of students, students have a lot of kind of web-based opportunities, including tutoring in the public schools. I know this product is available for public and private, so private schools may not have the same options, but I think it's competing in terms of the public school space with existing resources that are fairly similar.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions? Thank you, Mr. Gardner. Keep up the good work. All right, we now go to the public hearings, and thank you all for patiently waiting. The first item is 24 CR02, which is about a charter resolutions of the Mayor and Council of the City of College Park to amend Article 4, voting and elections, Article C 4-2, registration of voters, to allow for vote 16. And this will be taken by our City Attorney, Ms. Anderson.
Good
Welcome.
evening. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Before you, as you just stated, is the public hearing for Charter Resolution 24-CR-02. And this change, this proposed resolution would allow, would amend the charter from allowing that allows 18-year-olds to participate in city elections and lower the age to 16. Under Maryland law, municipalities are allowed to lower the voting age. The legal framework is straightforward and requires a charter change to implement the new age requirements. There are a few local jurisdictions that already allow that, including Hyattsville, Riverdale Park, Mount Rainier, Tacoma Park, and Greenbelt. I'm happy to answer any additional questions.
Any question for Ms. Anderson? No, looks like everyone is good on that. So thank you. So now we can take the comments from public. If you are here to make your comments on the public hearing on 24 CR02, please come forward to the podium. State your name, and if a resident of College Park, you have 3 minutes. Mr. Dorsch.
David Dorsch, one of those old people in College Park again. I'm against this. And this is another monkey see, monkey do type thing. Just because they do it in Tacoma Park does not mean we have to do it here. And if you really think about it, what do 16, 17, and even the 18-year-old people really know about what you have to do to run a city in a good manner? So if you think about it, what may happen here is one of these new people that just gets the right to vote, something comes up, maybe it has to do with finance, whatever, running the city, you have a vote, and they cancel your vote. How's that work? I mean, you want people that are voting that kind of understand what the issues are and what's behind the issues and what you need to do with those issues. So when you get people that just really don't know anything more than what I heard on the radio or something like that, that's not good for the community itself. So I urge you people not to go ahead with this particular change to our regulations and rules here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We have a couple of residents raise their virtual hands. Before we go there, is there anyone in the room who wants to speak on this? Please come forward. Please state your name and if you're a resident of College Park.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My name is Richard Biffle, and I'm a non-resident taxpayer of College Park. And as a non-resident taxpayer, I'm also a non-voting taxpayer. I don't get to vote because I'm not as impacted by what you do as residents are. And I understand that, but I think if you let non-resident taxpayers run things in the city, it would be a very austere city government. We would want to cut taxes, and we wouldn't care much about what the city government does. But the opposite problem happens when you let residents run things who aren't taxpayers. And minors are not responsible for any taxes. They're not responsible for any financial obligations. They've never paid bills of their own. And so they can evaluate programs for what good they do, but they don't look at the other side of the equation, at the costs. And I think it is very important to respect the taxpayers of this city and not dilute their votes by extending the franchise to non-taxpayers. Only resident taxpayers should have the vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the room? Please come forward, state your name and if you're a resident of College Park. Receive that testimony.
My name is Michael Lynch. I am a resident. I think I'm probably the only person in this room who actually got the chance to vote at 16. I grew up in Riverdale Park, down the road. When I was 16, there was both a general and a special election, and I voted in both. Now, before I did that, I did the responsible thing and examined the candidates, who I was going to vote for, and made a choice of my own. Voting inspired me to become more involved with the politics that affect me every day. After I cast my second vote, I joined a political research group so that I could learn more than I already had about the issues and the things that affected me. As I grow older, I may come to regret decisions that I made when I was younger, but voting will not be one of them. A year later, when I was 17, I served all day from before 5 in the morning to after 10 at night as an election judge in an election that I was 6 weeks too young to vote in. And there are people who serve as election judges who are younger than I was. 16 and 17-year-olds are active politically. They're interested in the issues. 16 and 17-year-olds are serving their communities. 16 and 17-year-olds across towns and cities, most of them here in PG County, who have already lowered the voting age, show that they are mature enough and engaged enough to vote. By giving young people the right to vote, we encourage them to be better citizens, to be the kind of citizens that we hope that all of us can be. We make our community stronger, and we make a more just democracy. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Is there anyone else in the room? Please come forward. Please state your name. If you're a resident of College Park.
Hi, I'm Nora Edelman. I just actually came to listen to I wasn't expecting to testify, but I'm very pleased about this proposal to allow to lower the age of 16-year-old. I'm actually very encouraged. I think it's actually a very positive thing to start young people at an earlier age, to get them, encourage them to get involved. I don't think we know through past history in the U.S. and other nations, the youth are the ones that usually bring change, that stand up for the things the way things were always ran. And I just quickly did a quick search as I was sitting there, and I thought which groups, what type of people do not have to vote because that do not have to pay taxes. And one of them is low-income people. Imagine non-taxpayers such as low-income people or some people who only receive disability money, the fact that they don't pay taxes. And all my respect to people, but I had to get up and imagine then prohibiting them from voting. Voting is extremely important. We want to engage young people, and maybe in the future, I don't know, even lower a little bit more, but this is a great way to tell young people that they count. There will come the time where they will pay taxes, but absolutely important to get them involved at an early age. It's a way to show them respect, that they are intelligent, that they can make decisions. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Come and speak. Anyone else in the room wants to speak on this item? Seeing none, let's go to online. I see Anya Kleinman. Staff, could you please bring her in?
Hello?
Please. Yes, we can hear you. Please state your name and if you're a resident of College Park and proceed with your testimony.
Hi, good evening. My name is Anya Kleinman. I'm not a resident of College Park, but I am a high school junior and the director of Vote 16 Maryland, which is a state coalition working to lower the voting age to 16 in Maryland's municipal elections. And I'm here to strongly endorse Charter Resolution 24CR02, which, if implemented, as you know, would enable 16 and 17-year-olds to vote in the City of College Park's local elections. And I think we can all agree that turning 16 in the state of Maryland is truly a rite of passage. When you turn 16, you can operate an 1,000-ton vehicle, get married, and drop out of high school, among other things. Turning 16 also requires you to grapple with deeply consequential decisions and responsibilities. 16 and 17-year-olds are huge stakeholders in their communities, impacted by city council decisions ranging from mental health to local appropriations. And some of you may be thinking, why 16 specifically? Well, according to a study conducted recently by the NIH, at 16, individuals are cognitively capable of making thoughtful and comprehensive voting decisions. On another note, data suggests that College Park local elections experience low voter turnout during presidential off years. I think College Park's 2021 local election had a turnout rate of just above 10%, and I think we can all agree that when a minority of registered voters cast a ballot, city election results are not truly representative. Yet evidence shows that 16 and 17-year-olds are very reliable voters, with a voting rate up to 200% higher than the general population. Further, as we've seen in Maryland municipalities like Tacoma Park, lowering the local voting age leads to an increase in the general voting rate year after year. And it's not just a matter of turnout. Voting is habit forming. Allowing individuals to begin voting earlier in life has the potential to improve lifelong civic participation, creating a generation of engaged and active voters. So Charter Resolution 24-CR-02 doesn't just allow College Park to enfranchise 16 and 17-year-olds, it allows College Park to prepare young people to contribute meaningfully to democracy for potentially the rest of their lives, and encourages them to get further involved with municipal politics because they become active stakeholders in the decisions that are being made within their city. And so with this in mind, I urge you to support Charter Resolution 24-CR-02 and take this essential step toward encouraging and extending youth civic participation in College Park. So thank you so much for your consideration, and have a great evening.
Thank you so much. The next we have is Vanessa Lee. Staff, could you please bring Vanessa? Mr. Gardiner. Vanessa Lee.
Hello, can you hear me?
Please state your name and if you're a resident of College Park, and proceed with your testimony.
Hi, my name is Vanessa Lee. I am not a resident of College Park, but I am a 17-year-old high school student in Maryland. I serve as a youth representative for Generation Citizens Vote 16 National Youth Advisory Board, and as the director and co-founder of Vote 16 Maryland, a statewide coalition working to lower the voting age to 16 in Maryland's municipal and countywide elections. This resolution represents an opportunity to recognize the value and capability of young people in shaping their communities. Too often, youth are excluded from the voting process despite having the knowledge to contribute meaningful perspectives. Expanding youth voting rights not only fosters civic responsibility, but also ensures that future generations are more engaged in creating a democracy that represents their needs. In fact, research by Fair Vote shows that introducing voting at 16 can establish lifelong voting habits. The earlier voters cast their first ballot, the more likely they are to develop habitual voting patterns. And by empowering 16 and 17-year-olds to participate in local elections, we encourage early civic involvement, leading to a more active and engaged electorate in the long term. And lowering the voting age to 16 has been successfully implemented in various jurisdictions. In Maryland, 7 cities, like Tacoma Park and Hyattsville, have extended voting rights to 16 and 17-year-olds for local elections, which sets an extremely strong precedent for College Park to adopt similar changes. And this resolution is a progressive step towards a more inclusive and representative democracy. It empowers young citizens, fosters lifelong civic engagement, and ensures that local policies reflect the diverse voices within our communities. And therefore, I strongly urge the City Council to adopt this resolution. Thank you so much for your consideration.
Thank you so much. Next we have Oscar Gregory. Staff, could you please bring him in? Mr. Gregory, please state your name and if you're a resident of College Park, proceed with testimony.
My name is Oscar Gregory. I'm a former resident of the College Park. I travel to College Park to do research at the National Archives on a daily basis, so I have skin in the game. I stand in opposition of Charter Resolution 24CR02 to amend the Article 4 Voting Elections, Chapter C42, registration of voters to allow for Vote 16. And former Mayor Patrick Wojahn once officially declared that representatives to the City Council acted in the stead of and not on behalf of its voting constituency. Sadly, this sounds remarkably like an autocracy. I would vehemently disagree with those who would agree with the former mayor. Electing a legal representative to the city government is fundamentally a contract between the voting constituency and the elected. The civic contract acquiesces some rights of the voting constituency to those that they have elected in exchange for acting on behalf of their constituency in order to ensure their safety, welfare, and more importantly, the value that each has created in their community. The issue of allowing those who are under the current legal age of 18 to vote has nothing to do with their engagement in civic matters, nor any psychological benefit derived from it. I applaud, in fact, the city and any other governmental agency or entity that reaches out to this group and supports legal minors in well-managed and fulfilling civics programs and internships. The argument has been made before that those that have not reached the legal age have not had the chance to develop an understanding of the real consequences over decisions. One could argue that those of legal age may also be afflicted with the same lack of understanding. The difference, however, is that those of legal age are legally held to account. Notwithstanding the flexibility afforded by the Maryland State Legislature to municipalities over their voting environment and any presumed psychological benefit derived from civic responsibility, Maryland law also is clear that those under the current legal age do not have the legal capacity to enter into contracts. Passing 24CR02 would countermand existing Maryland law, post avoidable and expensive litigation, and further damage the reputation of the city. Let's not revisit the fiasco that we had experienced back in 2017. Lastly, the argument that allows those under the legal age to vote bolsters election participation fundamentally runs away from the actual problem. We must get our constituents out there to vote, and adding more to the roster is just not going to help that at all. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. You're right on time. All right, we have two more. Ari Franco, please state your name and if you're a resident of College Park.
Yes. Hi. Thank you. My name is Ari Franco. I'm the youth engagement organizer with Common Cause, and I'm not a resident of College Park, but I'm grateful for the opportunity to represent Common Cause and provide support for this charter amendment. Across America, many issues are under attack, and the people who are most impacted and have been most impacted have not been given a seat at the table because they continue to have decisions made for them by local governments that they're not selecting. At Common Cause, we believe that starting civic engagement at the age of 18 can be too late because of all the life changes 18-year-olds experience during the transition from high school to college or working, etc. Civic engagement must be cultivated and supported while a young person still has their teachers, family, and community to help ensure access to accurate information. According to Circle at Tufts College Growing Voters Report, communities should, and I quote, support youth as they learn to connect their concerns with the decisions made by local, state, and national leaders so they understand how voting can make a difference in their communities, end quote. College Park can support its youth today by giving 16-year-olds the right to vote in general or special elections for the city of College Park. This will allow them to have a local government that truly represents their interests and at the same time giving them the experiential learning of putting civic engagement into practice and influencing local policy. With the experience of voting as young as 16, by the time these students have the ability to vote on a state or federal level at 18, they will have already formed the habit of engagement with their community. I appreciate the mention of the municipalities in Maryland that have already lowered the voting age to 16, and I believe these successes are representative of a global shift towards the inclusion of 16-year-olds in elections. We do recommend a friendly addition to the amendment. We acknowledge the limitations to the municipality's budget, but we do recommend including the distribution of materials notifying households that may be impacted by this change, should it be made, that may include a pre-registered voter, to ensure that those impacted by this amendment are able to take full advantage of these changes, whether or not these materials are mailed separately in a separate item or included in routine mailed election information prior to the next election. But once again, we urge a favorable report. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, the final speaker we have online, Alisa. Please state your name and if you're a resident of College Park, proceed with the testimony.
Good evening. My name is Elisa Canty. I'm not a resident of Maryland, but as the National Director of Youth Engagement at Common Cause, I've had the opportunity to support our Common Cause Maryland office with engaging young people in our work through our campus organizing, internship program, and election protection program. I would like to strongly encourage all of you to support Charter Resolution 24CR02 that would amend Article 4 to allow 16-year-olds to vote in local elections and special elections, and also to ensure that a 16 or 17-year-old registered at the state level can automatically be registered at the municipal level. College Park will join several localities in the state of Maryland, leading the United States in this international movement. I believe that allowing 16-year-olds to vote in local elections will give young people an opportunity to see firsthand the impact of their vote. When a young person's first election is a presidential or midterm election, it can be difficult to see why their vote matters. As Common Cause, we work hard to combat the disinformation around elections being already decided or that individuals cannot make an impact. But unfortunately, we cannot always reach each and every young person. I think it is important that we as a community uplift the importance of engaging in local elections and politics. I also believe this policy will help increase local election voter turnout. Local elections do not always get the same funding, attention, or media support as federal and state elections. While expanding the voter base to include 16-year-olds, we can expect an increase in turnout. Over the last decade, we have seen young people step up and make their voices heard online, at rallies, through organizing, but they are not able to do this at the ballot box. 16-year-olds have completed civics courses and many pay income and sales tax and deserve to have the opportunity to weigh in on local policies and shape their community. Thank you for your time this evening, and I'm happy to see that you all are thoughtfully considering this policy and its implementation. Thanks.
Thank you. So this is the last call. If you want to speak online, please raise your virtual hand. I see one more. Lawan Allen. Staff, please bring her in. Please state your name and if you're a resident of College Park.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and members of the College Park City Council. My name is Lawan Allen. I am the director of Vote 16 USA at Generation Citizen, and I am not a College Park resident, but I've had the absolute pleasure of working with some of our young people who have provided testimony today that organize for Vote 16 Maryland. I am here today to urge all of you to strongly support this amendment change. I want to highlight some of the testimony that was given by members of Vote 16 Maryland today. Data shows that when you lower the voting age to 16, turnout increases not just for 16 and 17-year-olds, but those that are 18 and older. What we see in Maryland time and time again is that elections have extremely low voter turnout. But in places where the voting age has been lowered, turnout has far exceeded that of the average municipal rate of folks that turn out to vote. Lowering the voting age also allows to establish voting as a habit. The earlier we get young people engaged in the political process, in civic engagement, the more likely they are to be lifelong voters. That is extremely important. When we think about the threats to democracy today, when we think about the issues that young people are oftentimes at the forefront of, climate justice reform, common sense gun legislation, adequate education policy, it is young people that are pleading time again for people that are 18 and older to get it right. And so I urge this council to strongly support
this amendment change, not only for empowering young people, but also to ensure that our democracy is just and representative of every single stakeholder that lives in College Park. And the very last thing that I'll mention is that 16 and 17-year-olds can drive a car. 16 and 17-year-olds can work and do pay a tax on their income. And to completely shut them out of the process and not the ballot box does a grave, grave disservice to them and to members of the community. And so thank you very much for this testimony today, and I appreciate you all taking this amendment change up for consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I do not see any virtual hands. Is there anyone in the room who wants to speak? Final call? Seeing none, please. Stone liaison. Please go ahead.
I would love to see some data from local Maryland, with like places like Tacoma Park, how many 16 and 17-year-olds live in the city, and how many of them turned out to vote in the last election. I think that would help people make an informed decision.
Thank you. I think a staff collected the data for College Park, and she can share with you. Yeah, 51 of them in College Park. Yeah, thank you. Good number. Please note that we also received quite a few comments online, and thank you, staff, for putting this together in the red folder. I believe there are 16 or so. They're all nice comments. Thank you all for taking the time for sending the comments. All right, seeing none, let's go to the next one, which is.
Mayor, close the
Public hearing has been held. I don't do it often.
It's the most fun thing.
It's fun.
Yeah.
It is fun. Please go ahead.
To the attorney and the city clerk, since we are not going to be taking these two items up for action, will the record be still left open for residents to make comment?
Yeah, certainly. That was the intent of
Okay.
the
Yes.
amendment. Mr. Rigg actually mentioned that. Yeah. Thank you. No, that's good. Good point. I think so. If you haven't had a chance to send your comments, please do so, because tonight the council is not going to vote on this item. So you still have at least a month, maybe 6 weeks or more, to send your comments.
Can I ask a procedural question?
Please, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I know that we had set up this particular date to try to get the voter roll open. I don't know if it was for the next election or the election thereafter. Does our delay today impact that?
For our November general election?
I don't think it was ever going to be for this November general election. I think it was going to be for the following.
No, it will be.
Oh, it will be for this one? Okay, so if it is for this November election, how far can we push it and still make it work? Would be something that I'd be interested in from the Board of Election Supervisors. I know they're already kind of maxed out.
I would have to check on the date. However, if you do want 16 and 17-year-olds voting in this general election, it's best that we approve it soon, rather than later, so we can get the advertisements out and get these the residents registered to vote, whoever may not be registered.
If I could kindly flag for whoever puts the agendas together, if we could schedule the date for this particular vote to be amongst one of the first city council sessions that we have our newest member on, we'd greatly appreciate it so that we could actually try to action this. I'd really appreciate it.
Yeah, maybe March, the third weeks of March session, we can have it.
And it also gives residents the transparency to know, hey, that's when we're going to vote.
So, staff, it takes about 50 days for the charter amendment to go in effect, right?
Correct.
So
once it's adopted.
So after the vote, 50 days after the vote, right? So you still have time for the next election.
Well, I would make sure that we just checked with all of the stakeholders that are responsible for managing the next election, if that's possible.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so let's go to the next one, which is 25 CR01, which is about charter resolution of the Mayor and Council of the City of College Park to amend Article 3, Mayor and Council Article 336, vacancies, Section B1, and this will be again taken by our City Attorney, Ms. Anderson.
Okay, thank you. Currently, the city charter requires a special election to be held within 65 days if the end of the term for the mayor or council member is greater than 180 days from the next election. This charter resolution would amend how those vacancies are filled. If the vacancy were to occur more than 365 or 366 days of the next general election, the vacancy would be filled by a special election held not later than 65 days after the vacancy exists. This proposed charter resolution also would amend the way that appointments are handled and allow for an option if the vacancy were to occur within 365 or 366 days, but not later than 60 days before the next general election. The vacancy would be filled by the appointment of the mayor and council by a majority vote within 30 days after the vacancy, or to be held by a special election not later than 65 days after the vacancy occurs.
Thank you. Any question for Ms. Anderson? Ms. Mackey.
Yes, Ms. Anderson, so would it be better for us to ask questions closer to the vote? Or, because I have just two things that I'm a little unclear on, so should I wait until we're closer to voting, or should I ask for them tonight? I don't think they're gonna, I'm not expecting you to get an answer, but maybe you can.
Well, I was gonna say, if you mean you have questions about the resolution?
I do.
Okay.
Yes. So as I read the recommended motion, that's what the public hearing is on, I don't see, maybe I'm missing it, the language for appointment. Am I just not looking at the right place, or? Because I'm looking on page 2. Yeah, I'm just looking on page, it says 001, but it says the public hearing. I can wait. I can have my questions answered.
Well, I mean, the one thing is, since we're holding the public hearing, if there's any technical, because we're not going to take any action
Okay.
on the
So
proposed
we
resolution.
can technically change the motion when we.
When we get closer to acting on the actual
Then
resolution.
I'll table what I asked and get it closer to when we're voting on it.
Okay.
And just let people go ahead and give their testimony.
Sure, you can make an amendment on that night.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just-
Thank you. All right, any further question for Ms. Anderson? Seeing none, let's invite anyone wants to speak on this item. Mr. Dorsch, state your name for resident of College Park.
I'm the same guy that was here before, just a little bit older, though. I don't see the reason to change the way we have it right now. When we get a vacancy like occurred here, I think the thing to do is to try to get somebody back into that position as soon as we can. And so we should be able to have a special election. I wouldn't think we need to have 3 or 4 special elections a year, but I don't think setting a 365-day limit, that type of thing, until the next general election is helpful. I think it's better if we can just go ahead and have the election just about as soon as we can after the vacancy occurs. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Rowan, I think he wants to speak. Thank you, patiently waiting.
Hello, I'm Brian Rowan. I'm a resident of North College Park, represented by District 1, and a member of the North College Park Community Association there. I'm I'm speaking out in opposition to this amendment. We just had a whole conversation about voting and how important it is to have your representatives reflect you as an electorate. So I'm just going to refer to everything that those guys said about the importance of getting people into voting booths to choose their representatives to actually reflect what they would like. This amendment does not live in that spirit, that democratic spirit that we like to work through here. Every reason I've heard given as to why we should do this has seemingly served only the city staff and elected representatives, and is not thought through to actually do anything in favor of the electorate itself. You know, we talked about our low voting turnout, and part of the reason for that, I believe, having run for office, is that people feel as though this body doesn't technically ever really listen to them. I know that that's not true. I've been a part of movements that have actually affected the way that this body has voted. But at the same time, there have been moments where there has been a groundswell and the body has not actually listened to those people. I believe this is happening again now. I know that the people I've spoken to have universally been opposed to this. What's weird this time is that when I asked those people who in the past have written in to write into you this time, I was met with a level of apathy and disillusionment that I was not accustomed to. When writing in to save the farmers market in North College Park and to speak in favor of the parade, people were willing to do that. When I asked them to write in opposition to this amendment, since every single person said that sounds like a crazy amendment, why would they do that? Instead, this time I got a lot of shrugs and a lot of, I'm so glad I'm not going to live here anymore soon, and a lot of, what's the point? They're going to do what they want to do anyway, and it's clear that they want to do this. So I would just draw your attention to that feeling in the community, that you are considering a charter amendment that would remove voting powers from an electorate who already feels as though they're not being heard. And to think about the deleterious effect that would have on voters in the coming elections and on people who might want to run for office, but again, do not feel that they can. An appointment in this city where voter turnout is so low and voter engagement is so little is a coronation. People approach a voting booth and say, who's the incumbent, and vote for that because it's the path of least resistance. And I think that taking away a vote is not a way to try to engage those people to make better, more informed decisions. Thank you.
Thank you. Right on time. Anyone else in the room wants to speak on this item? Thank you. Anyone online, if you are interested, please raise your virtual hand and we'll bring you in. Seeing none, again, thank you all who sent your comment to us. There are quite a few of them. They're in the red folders. Thank you. So again, I declare that public hearing has been held. Again, fun stuff. The council is not going to vote on this item again tonight, and the voting might take place, I believe, sometime in March, when the new council member, District 3 council member, is elected. All right. Now we go to action items. There is one action item, which is...
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, please.
Based on the discussion earlier with the Coalition for Fire and EMS, I'm wondering if my fellow council members would consider indulging a suspension of the rules to add that support of that letter to the action item agenda for tonight so that we can meet their preferred timeline.
Second.
Certainly, yeah, it needs a suspension of rule. So are you going to make the motion?
Yeah, move to suspend the rules for purposes of adding to the action item a letter in support of the Coalition to support Fire and EMS in Prince George's, or whatever the name of that organization is.
Second.
Second. So we already adopted our consent agenda. So this will be an action item. So you need to, can you talk about that first and then go to the last one?
Well, I think we need to vote to suspend the rules first, and then I can add a motion.
So you already made the motion.
Made a motion to suspend the rules.
So let's take the vote. All in favor to suspend the rule in order to take that motion or action. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstention? So now we can move forward.
Yeah, so I propose to add to the action items a motion that the City of College Park support the position articulated by the former deputy mayor regarding the coalition to, sorry, I'm missing it on here.
Stephen Legan.
Mr. Legan, the Coalition to Support Prince George's County Fire and EMS.
Second.
Okay, all in, this is an action item, so we need to go to the community. If anyone wants to speak on this item, please move forward. Mr. Dosh, thank you. I'm glad I called.
David Dorsch, older and tired. Anyway, I agree. You should go ahead and write this letter in support of them. I think it's a good idea.
Thank you. All right, anyone else? Mr. Rohn?
Hi, Brian Rowan. Glad I stuck around for the extra 2 minutes to say, yeah, you should do this. This is a good idea.
Thank you for your support. Anyone else online? I do not see any virtual hands. Let's come back to the council. Any comments before I take the vote? Mr. Rigg?
Just to note that this is a groundswell of support that's going to prompt us to be able to support this tonight. So we appreciate public comment
Certainly.
and are responding to the public outcry.
Yeah, I mean, the community totally supports it. Thank you.
I think I said most of my comments before, but I really thank, my colleague, Councilmember Rigg, for his knowledge of parliamentary practices in order to be able to really get this on the agenda or get this actioned as soon as possible so that it's a part of the larger discussion with the candidates for county executive.
Thank you. Any further comments, Ms. Mackey?
Yes, can we make sure that we inform Mr. Leggett about the letter, like, that we pass it to Leggett?
Yeah, can a staff do that? Because I think he doesn't have much time before Monday, is that?
Monday,
Yeah. Thank you. All right, seeing no other comments, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, any abstention? That motion has been approved. Let's go to the final action item, which is 25G16, which is about the approval of a grant request for the rehabilitation of the Monarch Preschool Playground equipment. And this will be taken by Mr. Williams, which is our Economic Development Manager.
And can I,
Point of order. Oh, I'm sorry. I know what the action item is, like what the number is for the one that we just passed? Like just what number we're
That will
on?
be 25G17.
Let's give it 18, just to be on the safe side. I think I have something already for 17.
Okay, 25G18.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Point of order, Mr. Mayor. I believe that there are representatives in the audience that represent this particular entity. Ms. Herrera, if you want, there's a presenter seat up in the front here, and your staff. No, she's up there too, but there's a presentation, like a seat for our presenters up here.
Thank you for coming.
Oh, I recognize you have staff too, right? Director Herrera? Do you have staff as well?
Yeah, I do. I have.
She can join you.
Thank you for joining us. Mr. Williams, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. So with us this evening is Ms. Herrera, who's Assistant Director of the Monarch Preschool, and her, please, Ms. Miller, who also is part of the Monarch Preschool College Park. I should make sure I say that. Monarch is operated by the Children's Guild, a nonprofit organization which is affiliated with the Children's Guild Alliance based in Baltimore, Maryland. Currently, there are 50 families enrolled at Monarch College Park. 24 of the 50 enrollees live in the city of College Park, and Monarch has actually operated in College Park for over 3 years, and they actually spent an additional 2 years in the planning phase for the school. Monarch's total renovation cost to bring the school online, which includes the first phase of the playground that we're here to talk about, exceeds $1.2 million. My staff report provides details of the request, and I will take any questions that you have.
Any question to staff? Dr. Hesters.
So I did have a question about the numbers of families that are enrolled and how many of those families are from the city versus otherwise. So wanted to know if there was any incentives that were provided to those living in the city since you're located in the city. If there are a particular number of seats that may be reserved for those living in the city, just was curious.
Let's turn your mic.
Thank you. Okay, as in right now, we don't, but we do want to, we always aim to have families of the city of College Park. I hope Ms. Taylor's in there. She would know a little bit more if we are going to move forward to doing that. But usually we try to aim for the families in College Park, especially because we do have the expansion. One of the classrooms is a grant founded, and we always try to aim for College Park families to get those seats. And we are working in the future of expanding another grant classroom, which will provide free tuition for families that can access high quality preschool. And there is 3 different requirements that they can apply for. It's not an application, but qualify. One is income-based. The other one is English language learners, and the other one if they have an IEP. So, yeah.
Mr.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Williams?
I believe that we're joined by Ms. Chrissy Taylor, the director. Is she on? Is she
Yes. promoted?
Our director, the director of Monarch Preschool is on.
Okay.
Miss Chrissy Taylor.
Can I bring her in? Welcome, Ms. Taylor. Thank you for joining.
Her hand is raised.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
I wasn't sure it says stay as an attendee or join as a panelist. Hi, I'm Ms. Taylor. I'm the director at Monarch Preschool College Park, and thank you so much for allowing us to come. We definitely have a couple things that are exciting at Monarch. We have increased our occupancy from 50 to 120. And so to answer the question about incentives for the families of College Park, that is something that we are talking about and discussing of how we can welcome more families in from the immediate community. And we always come up with some type of incentive per month. So, we're always willing for your ideas, but we definitely reach out to the city of College Park. We also have initiatives with our current families. If they refer a friend or a family member, we also give discounts for those families as well.
Thank you. Any further questions, comments?
I'll defer to you, ma'am.
Mayor Protem?
Thank you, Councilman Hernandez. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's really good to see you, Ms. Taylor, in the virtual place. Ms. Taylor and
It's
I
nice to see you too.
have gone through this for a long time. Remember when we were talking about it at the inception, wasn't even conceived, but then we actually were able to get the Monarch Preschool, and I'm glad to
Yes.
have you sitting here and asking for this grant, which I know is something that is of service to not only families in College Park, but to all of our little scholars who will participate in the program. What I do want to ask you about when you talk about quality child care, and if you're aware that we are talking about a possible child care task force, quality in regards to certifications as far as and getting the money, the highest amount of money you can receive in order to make sure that the day-to-day operations of the child care is doing well. Can you speak to that? As far as
Sure.
the
Sure.
accreditation, that's what I want to get to find the word accreditation.
Yeah, so this is big. I know we started our journey in 2016. I was looking back in our notes. So there's a couple components here. For accreditation, we are on track for accreditation for the spring. And we are at Excel's level 4. hoping to be a Maryland Excels level 5, which have to be accredited. As we know, in early childhood, there is a turnover rate with staff. We often see staff that are in childcare settings or pre-K settings that jump to different positions. I can say at Monarch, we are fortunate to not have a high staff turnover rate, and the staff, we are fully staffed now at the preschool, and we offer professional development on behalf of the school. So teachers at Monarch do not have to pay professional development, and we are sending back a cohort that I am working on now for 4 teachers to go and get through MSDE to get their degree. And from there, they will have a position at Monarch. They have to stay for at least 3 years, but I think with our culture and school climate, it's a positive one, and I'm always trying to better and have them reach more goals with their own growth. So, but yeah, so we're accredited. We have a new task force, a new coaching coming into the school. We actually met today. We are transforming our current academic instruction in the school and transforming it to be a little bit more project-based in terms of how are we going to get students ready for kindergarten on a social and emotional base, because we're seeing some change in our students, which would be understandable.
Oh, thank you for that response. And for individuals who are not familiar, again, myself being in the field 35 years, to have the capability to have 4 staff members to participate in a cohort is huge. It takes a lot to have the support and the finances to make it happen. So kudos to Ms. Taylor and the entire team for being able to accomplish this, as well as to accomplish the tier of a goal of a 5. That's amazing in the short time that you've been here. But another question, my last question, so the people in the viewing, people are here and who are listening, about one of the centers you talked about is the IEP, the Individual Education Plan. Talk about how, can you explain how that can correlate and help as far as children who are coming into your program and how that will help them to be prepared for kindergarten?
Sure. Ms. Herrera, do you want me to
Yeah,
go for
I
this one?
kind of want to add on to that. You know, coming from a person that actually had an IEP growing up, to slowly testing out of it, I feel like that when a lot of students do start in kindergarten or pre-K settings in public settings, it's a larger group. Like they're having 20 plus students in a classroom with 1 teacher to probably 1 assistant. I feel like us being able to accept kids with IEPs and as much smaller settings, and as well as having 3 teachers in a classroom, you don't get that anymore. You get 2 lead teachers in the classroom setting, an assistant teacher, and I think parents really do appreciate that. Just being able to work with them one-on-one, because at the end of the day, maybe they just need an IEP or have an IEP with them for 1 to 2 years, and that boosts up their learning, that, you know. So I feel like, you know, we kind of forget the importance of having a small settings and being able to have somewhat of a one-on-one or a group setting of 4, especially at such a young age.
No, thank you for that, because I had 1. I was by myself when there was another teacher there called out 1 to 30 kids, so you're doing great. So again, congratulations to you.
Thank you.
May I just ask, for the purposes of those who are listening who do not know what an IEP is, can you explain what that is?
Do you want to do it, Ms.
Sure.
Taylor? I get too nervous.
Sure. So children that need a little extra support, whether it be speech and language, social emotional behavior, academic support, and they may be a little bit delayed in their learning compared to their typical developing peers, create what's called an IFSP, and that's an Individual Family Service Plan. And that's from birth to 4. When they get to 4, they move into an IEP, which is an individual education plan, and we put emphasis on specific learning goals and objectives of how we can put strategies and supports in place to get them to where they should be in terms of their goals, and typically developing. So it could be as far as in a small group, learn to play a game together, right? They learn to share. And so that's one thing at Monarch, we're able to do that. And if I could just share a little, if I could go backwards just for a second, with the whole accreditation piece, there is a whole outdoor learning indicator in that wealth of a binder, and we won't hit hit those milestones to be accredited for our outdoor learning without some more of a gross motor and fine motor equipment. And having a playground not only will help us hit that, but also provide students of pre-K world to have more of an imaginary play. They can, we can take learning more outside. And so we definitely need that for accreditation as well.
Right. Thank you. Mr. Hernandez.
Thank you, and thanks, Ms. Taylor, Professor Herrera, or Ms. Herrera, and I'm sorry, Ms. Miller, for presenting today. I want to make the disclosure that I've been proudly working with Monarch Preschool since I first came into office. Just in the goals of trying to expand educational opportunities for as many of our College Park residents as possible. Looking for opportunities, and they've always been open and willing to try to explore ideas of how to get more of our neighbors in College Park into their institutions. So I really greatly appreciate it. I just had a couple questions. I don't know if you guys have heard, but the City Council recently pushed in the priority of a proclamation, the Early Child Care Development Task Force. And I just want to share this with you all because this is a major priority for us for the remainder of the year here with regards to legislation. But could you please just quickly speak to the demographics that make up your student body?
Ms. Taylor.
Sure. So we are definitely a diverse school. I would say, I can't give you the actual percentages, but I would say probably 60% is Latino or Hispanic, 40% is African American, and that, or I'm sorry, 30% is African American, and then we have a sector of other different cultures in there.
Fantastic.
And I will say that we also, specifically for our Maryland expansion grant classroom, it is 6 different languages spoken in that classroom, in addition to the other 2 classrooms is a mix of English and Spanish.
Incredible. And specifically, just to focus back into the grant being discussed today, I've noticed it for a long time that there's been some caution tape outside. How long has it been under repair or awaiting reconstruction?
You mean the playground area?
Yes, the playground area.
Yes, so I built that in 2001 to meet licensing regulations to have adequate space in hopes that we'd get a playground since 2001. And the children love it. They love the outdoor running space, but looking at the outside and comparing to the inside of our facility, it's night and day. We have a state-of-the-art program inside. We even have indoor play equipment, including sensory hallways. And then when you go outside, we have construction fencing.
And just as a reminder, how long does Monarch Preschool in College Park plan to stay in College Park?
So we do not have an end date. We are hopeful to keep years to come. We like where we are. We love our families we serve. And early childhood is not going away. We always will have little young learners. And with how preschool programs are going now, we want to make sure that we can have as many pre-K students in our program because we know they are going to be ready for kindergarten academically and socially.
Okay, and just one final question. If if Mayor and Council is to approve the grant today, how quickly can construction occur?
So we are ready to go. We have all of our permits in place. We have equipment ready to go to be starting to be built. We just don't need any more snow, and we just need your approval, and we'll be so grateful.
Outstanding. Mr. Mayor, would you entertain a motion?
Dr. Estes.
Oh, sorry. So, I'm so sorry I couldn't see you because.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
Ms. Taylor, just for clarification purposes, the caution tape that my colleague asked about, did you say that it's been out there since 2001, or did you mean 2021?
2021, I'm so
Okay.
sorry.
Thank you, that's okay.
That makes sense.
Thank
When
you.
we opened, yeah, that's our fence. I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
All right, Mr. Rigg?
Yeah, just a couple of very quick questions. Will the Monarch Preschool playground at the city funds it be available for sort of public use?
Yes.
When the Great. Thank you.
Yes. So we do host varieties of different events. One of them has been this year. I made sure that we connect with Child Find. So we had brought Mr. Paul to come in and do parent workshops. So we are aiming also to have. Sometimes parents can't come to the meetings without having someone taking care of the child. So we started doing them, but things like that. We do. We have done fall festivals, spring festivals. We are going to start opening up our doors for story time for parents, for they can kind of get a feel of what Monarch Preschool is, and at the same time give parents that experience of the importance of early child education and why children should be in classroom settings and engaging with other kids.
Okay, but if a resident of the surrounding community on a Saturday morning when the daycare center is closed wanted to take their toddlers over to play on the playground, that would be a possibility since the daycare center won't be using it?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And the other question I have is would Monarch consider sort of memorializing the City of College Park's contribution to the playground on site?
Put a plaque or
Yes.
something.
Yes, we would.
Great, thank you.
Yes.
Sign.
Like that.
Thank you. Good idea. Good questions. Thank you. You want to entertain a motion?
Yes. All right. I move to approve a $50,000 allocation from the Business Retention and Attraction Program to Monarch Preschool for the equipment purchase and construction, build out of a new playground.
Yay, thank you.
All right, we haven't voted yet.
We still need a vote.
Oh, sorry.
I know you're excited.
Okay, all right, I take it back.
Unless further comments, Mr. Hernandez?
No, so we've been talking about business retentions and attractions across the entire city. I think that this particular grant proposal or motion here on the table speaks to multiple priorities that the mayor and council have discussed. It's always hard to pick what particular organization or group is going to benefit the most from these programs. But after hearing everything we've heard today, and knowing that this will be invested in the children, just well-being and just abilities to go outside and socialize, to me that meets everything that we possibly could ever want for something like this when it comes to the education space. So, yeah, I hope that we have everyone's support.
Thank you. Let's go to the audience. If you want to speak on this item, this is the time you can come and speak. You have 3 minutes. If you have joined virtually, you can raise your virtual hands and I can bring you inside and let you speak.
Dr. Kabir, Mayor Kabir, I just wanted to, just for the record, have Ms. Miller introduce herself. Just hit that button
Ms.
on
Miller?
the right side. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Joy Miller. I'm a teacher at the school. As far as the playground go, I've been there since November 2022, and we've been hearing about it and praying about it. The children need it, socially, emotionally, large motor skills. A lot of our projects are based outside. Yes, we love the dirt, love kicking the balls around, even playing with the caution tape. But to actually be able to climb and slide and just enjoy it, be children, I think it's needed.
Thank you. Seeing none, let's come back. Anyone wants to speak before we take the vote? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, any abstention? So the motion has been approved. Congratulations. Thank you.
Yay, thank you so much. Thank you.
Now you can celebrate, Ms. Taylor.
Yay! Please come visit us. Please come visit us anytime.
Thank you, staff. Thank you, Mr. Williams, for working on this item with Monarch. All right, we're done with all the action items, and let's go to the work session. There are 2 work session items. We have the first one is about establishing an affordable housing task force, and this will be taken by our planning director, Ms. Bader. And I believe our former city clerk, Ms. Miller, will be joining as well. Wanna see you.
Ms. Bader, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. So tonight is an opportunity for City Council to discuss the establishment of Affordable Housing Task Force. And this request has two different origins. Originally, there was talk about developing an affordable housing strategy in 2021, and the request was to review Hyattsville affordable housing strategy and develop recommendations regarding whether we might do something similar in College Park and include consideration for affordable housing for students as well as the broader community. More recently, at the April 16, 2024 City Council meeting, during the discussion regarding the pilot rental subsidy program funded by the 3-cent property tax increase, Councilmember Esters and Councilmember Mitchell made a motion to create an affordable housing task force. The specific motion that passed unanimously was, quote, to create an affordable housing task force to include key stakeholders that will, 1, research and share data regarding the housing needs in the city of College Park, 2, develop a definition of affordable housing, and 3, outline the parameters of a sustainable program that will be open to all residents who meet specified criteria. So this is a discussion item, and we would like council to consider any of the following next steps. 1, create and appoint a task force as described with direction as to the composition, number of committee members, and term of office. 2, create and appoint a task force with a different charge. Oh, okay, your options are either 1, to do what I just said, or 2, you could create and appoint a task force with a different charge or a different structure, or 3, you could make a decision to not create and appoint a task force at this time. So I am here to take direction from the council, and next to me is the senior planner, Carlos Nunez.
All right, is it Ms. Whitney first or Dr. Esters first? Dr. Esters, please go ahead.
Well, Ms. Bader, thank you so much for providing this and coming back to have us talk about this. When we were talking about affordable housing for students, what we learned throughout that conversation, no matter what our outcome was, is that there's an issue around affordable housing. It is a nationwide issue. We've heard from a representative some months ago from Prince George's County who came to talk to us about missing middle. We have residents who currently we're aware of who are older and trying to age in place and are unable to do so because there's nothing that exists here that meets their needs. And I think it is vital that we have a deeper conversation about what this is, understand what the issues are in our community beyond just anecdotal, and really identify a strategy for helping to meet those needs. The other thing that I wanted to say is that what is vital to me is that we have representation from the entire city, and that when we look at affordable housing, what that means to us. And when I say affordable housing, I am saying that it's housing that is affordable. A lot of times people assume that that means subsidized housing. That's not necessarily what I'm talking about when I speak of it. And I think that having a task force really delve into that will be helpful. And I think that affordable housing needs to be found throughout the city and not in any particular districts, because we need a variety of housing inventory in this city that differs from what we have right now. So thank you.
Thank you. I say Ms. Whitney and then Mayor Pro Tem Mitchell.
Yes, I just wondered if we could add, I might suggest adding one line to the charge, and that would be to in addition to researching and sharing data regarding the housing needs in the city of College Park, also to identify if there are any conditions that are making it more difficult to get affordable housing. Like, we got an email earlier today from the Renters Alliance, led by our former deputy student liaison, Gannon Sprinkle, saying that RealPage, which, you know, I think most of us may have seen the stories about possible collusion among people who, you know, landlords of big apartment buildings, it's an instrument that might allow them to set prices kind of higher. So just making sure we identify conditions like that that might actually be standing in the way of affordable housing. If I were more on it today, I could craft a succinct line that expresses that, but thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Councilmember Whitney, for that addition. And thank you for putting the report together. And I guess since coming from NLC and listening to them talk about affordable, now the new buzzword is attainable housing. I would like to look at point number 2 as affordable/attainable housing that includes all socioeconomic backgrounds, because it can be things are different depending on your socioeconomic status. So I would like to see if that can be added to point number 2.
Miss, thank you. I'm glad that you brought this up. Ms. Bader, you also asked about the council's input on the composition of the task force, right? Do you have any idea, any suggestion?
Correct. So this morning we had a talk with the age-friendly community? Age-friendly College Park committee. And so if this is appropriate, if Janine Miller could speak to that, she's
Please.
the representative.
Thank you, Ms. Miller. Very nice to see you. Yeah, she has a spot. Councilman Mackey, sorry I missed it.
Hi there.
Welcome, Ms.
I'm
Miller.
here tonight representing the Age-Friendly College Park Work Group. You'll recall that in 2021, following the city's adoption to enter the AARP Age-Friendly Community Program, you all established a work group to help the city achieve the goals of the action plan to become an age-friendly community. For 2 years, we had a group of very dedicated residents and stakeholders working on the action plan. They've accomplished a lot. And then in the fall of 2024, I was brought on to help them get to the finish line. The Age-Friendly College Park Work Group has 5 different focus areas, one of which is housing. We spoke with planning this morning about this topic tonight, and we are working as a work group on housing affordability for our seniors who want to age in place. We're also planning to follow the county's, when Park and Planning Director Hull was here in the fall and gave you a presentation, she mentioned that in 2025 they would be undertaking a study on missing middle housing and accessory dwelling unit legislation. So I followed up with her to see where that is. I think we need to be involved in that and have a seat at the table. And our work group is also interested in different ways that we can assist our seniors age in place, and I'm starting to talk with people about a housing match home sharing program that would bring intergenerational housing to a group of residents who are perhaps over the age of 62 or whatever the age is set at, who have space in their home that they'd like to share. And the home seekers for a pilot program could be University of Maryland graduate students. So I'd love to look at a program that would develop a housing match home share program. It would be third-party administered. It's not just putting a list on a website. It would actually be a proactive housing match program. So this is something the work group has talked to some people about. I've talked with my age-friendly counterparts in Greenbelt and Hyattsville about this. And we also were at a meeting with the University of Maryland provost, the associate provost for the, I hope I have it correct, the Office of Community Outreach, I believe it is. And they were interested in the idea, and they were going to take it up the chain to see if there's interest at the university. So this is what the Age-Friendly College Park Work Group, your work group, is working on for the housing domain. And we're very interested in seeing how this task force is developed. And if there's any way we can assist, we'd be happy to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your work. Lots of good ideas, lots of activities going on. Ms. Mitchell, sorry, Ms. Mackey first.
Yes. So you read my mind. So one of the things that I wanted to make sure that is in this is senior housing, but also housing for people with disabilities too. I mean, there's such a need for that. And one of the things that also, I was in a meeting with a long time ago and talking to someone from the University of Maryland about college alumni from Maryland coming back to College Park to age here because they, it's something that you'd be surprised that they want to do. They want to go back to where they were once young and come and live in College Park. So like something for seniors that were once alumni. So those are just some ideas. Mr. Williams knows about my big thing on senior housing and, you know, places for seniors that they can afford and live at. And not every senior has a really good pension to live off of. So that's why it's so important that we are looking into that for seniors and people with disabilities. Thank you.
Ms. Mitchell?
Yes, thank you. Just want to add also, and I'm sorry, veterans. We have many veterans who, that are single or whatever, widowers, and they have a limited income, then that's something they would need to look at as far as affordable housing. But to your point about the composition, I was thinking, of course, it's 2 from each district, and also 2 from each district. But looking at someone from Park and Planning from Director Hall's office, looking at someone from a content expert that maybe has done it already, that can bring us bring value to the task force. And I know Ms. Miller has many contacts that she could probably go to ask for a content expert. And I was thinking about someone that would be from Veteran Affairs Office, and that's just me, and that's what happened.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch the last part.
Veterans Affairs.
Okay.
Would it be, definitely appropriate to include someone from the student community, from HCA, or maybe one of our liaison could join as well? Dr. Estes. Oh, sorry, yes, it's Lado Harris.
I wanted to just ask my colleagues to think about the formation of this task force as we also thought about the task force for childcare, because I again think that there may be opportunities to bring in experts, but are they actually consistent members of the committee? Are they going to be able, of the task force, are they going to be able to come on a consistent basis to work through whatever it is, these data points? So I think we just need to think about who is going to be a part of this and asked to be a part of this, in addition to our residents. If I can also make sure, I think it's affordable housing for everyone, but wanted to also point out young professionals. We often miss them in the mix too. You know, a lot of people are just starting. They could just be graduating from the University of Maryland and want to stay here. And I would like to capture them before they go elsewhere if we can in the city as well. And the only other thing I want to mention is that the Moore Miller Plan for 2024 has an objective of ensuring that the state of Maryland is an attractive place for people to stay. Through that plan, the governor and assistant governor's plan for 2024, what they talk about is the fact that we as a state, we educate so many people, and then they leave and they go elsewhere. And I think part of that is also about having affordable options. And they also want to have affordable options in the state. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hugh and then Ms. Whitney.
Thank you. One of the things I was wondering if the committee could look into is the possibility of how we would go about requiring all new development to have a reasonable percentage of affordable housing built into it, instead of having a single development like flats, which is I'm not against, but being purely affordable housing. I think that it would help spread the diversity of the market if all new development going forward could have affordable housing built into it.
It probably will need some legislation, am I correct, to allocate percentage.
You haven't had a first bite.
Yeah, first bite, yeah, Mr. Hernandez.
The only thing I'd ask for consideration from the task force that my colleagues haven't shared yet is a focus on future proofing. I think many of us have gone through this, but there's a chapter in everyone's lives where you're taking care of your parents, or for those people who don't have that luxury, it's the opposite way around. You're trying to take care of yourself, and you may not have future-proofed your home with holds or no stairs, right? Like having those sort of things ahead of time makes it so much easier for when age just catches up to you. Now, I don't know if that's a full ADA type of model and that's satisfied by that, but if not, maybe we could think about it ahead of time as we're incorporating our future policies. Does that make sense? Yes. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, it does.
Ms. Miller?
If I can just mention, I'm sure you're aware of it, but maybe you're not. Through ARPA funding, you all funded through Habitat for Humanity and Aging in Place home retrofit program. And I don't know if you've gotten the report, but it looks like they've done 8 or 9 projects in the city.
Right.
And hopefully the city will be able to continue to fund 2 or 3 projects a year. I'm not sure if that's in the budget forecast or not, but it has been utilized for home retrofits.
Aging in place.
And if I could just to comment on that, I fear that there's a middle group of folks that don't necessarily fall into the category of the aging in place, and there's a group of handy-capable folks, right, that just don't yet meet the 60-year-old or 65-year-old thresholds that aren't able to take care of themselves or aren't able to walk around or have mobility issues. Forgive the lack of refinement in my words here, but I'm thinking of the 40-year-old or 50-year-old who isn't as mobile and can't go up and down the stairs, and there's no elevator options for them to go, or it's an elevator that's shabby and you don't want to go in it. So those are the sort of concerns that come to mind, because I don't necessarily see large advocacy groups for those sort of people.
I mean, to expand that program to residents with disabilities, that's what you're going for.
Well, I just think that when we're looking at affordable housing, if that could be a part of the conversation and discussion as a point of, options when you're going through and just talking about percentages of affordable houses, right? Like, still think about the fact that there are folks that aren't necessarily fully capable.
All right. Dr. Esther, second bite? Third bite?
I think it was
I see. Ms. Whitney.
No worries. We're getting maybe verging a little bit into the AARP Livable Cities kind of thing, but I just want to quickly say that I did hear one older resident talking about the option. She lives in a large, well-appointed house that she no longer needs, and wondering if maybe there was some kind of program to swap with a growing family that's like in a house that would work better for her, and maybe there's some kind of easy kind of legal document that the group could come up with. But back on point, sorry. Building on what my fellow District 2 council member Esther's suggested, I would suggest 2 representatives per district, as Mayor Pro Tem also suggested, and then 1 student representative on the task force, and then I would suggest that everyone else be experts that we bring in. Just basically what Councilmember Esters was saying as far as like how we have handled the child care task force. That would be my proposal for membership.
Good, thank you. Any other comments? Ms. Mackey?
I think that there should probably be someone who is a planner. Sorry to do that to you, but I think someone needs to have, you know, those abilities to think that way. I guess they could come in as consultants or advisors or something like that.
Oh, SME, right? Subject matter experts.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that
I think Ms. Bader, you'll be part of it anyway.
Yes, I could be a staff liaison.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Sure. We need it. Thank you. Sister, have you got everything you needed for taking it to the next level?
So
Ms. Bader?
am I hearing that we could have someone from the age-friendly committee sit on this committee too?
Oh, that would be fine. I have a very capable member. Thank you.
Thank you.
So how many total, including, is it too big, you think? Not too big? Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, experts, it's not defined, so, I don't know, maybe we're talking 10?
10, right.
Or
2 from each district,
Or
then a student.
12, maybe? I don't know. I'll have to, yeah, the student.
And then planning department. But, Ms. Mitchell, you also talked about planner from PG, sorry, the PCMA, from MNCPPC somewhere.
So we're gonna, well, Councilman Whitney and Councilman Esters, we merged it. So if you're saying 2 from each district is 8, a student is 9, and then you have a member from the AARP, that's 10.
Yeah.
And the content experts are just additional people. So we really are relying on that complement to make up the meeting.
So
The
rest
task
will be
force.
non-voting members.
Correct.
Okay. So 10 voting members, and the rest will be non-voting members. Good. Anything else?
Okay,
I think
and,
Ms.
and
Miller has a question.
Councilmember Mitchell, you talked about Veterans Affairs, so that would be,
Advisory person, doesn't have to be a person a part of the actual task force.
Okay.
You can just bring them in to talk about it if you have a meeting on
Okay.
that one particular item, whatever.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. You got everything? Ms. Bader? Have you got everything you needed?
I think so.
Oh, okay, good.
Thank
Good to
you.
hear.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your work, and you'll be bringing this back for adoption, right? Sometime
Yes,
in
I think
in a
we
few
would,
weeks.
we would write up a ordinance and then bring that over
Right.
for adoption.
Thank you so much, and thank you, Ms. Miller. Keep up the good work.
And just FYI, the Aging in Place work group, Age-Friendly College Park Work Group will be coming back sometime this summer with our annual progress report for you. So
Yeah.
we can give you an update on all of our progress on our various
All the
initiatives.
good stuff we have done. Looking forward to seeing
Good
that.
night.
Thank you.
Thank you also, Mr. Nunez.
Oh, yes, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, so we have come to the very end of the meeting with the very last item on the work session, which is about the state legislation update. This will be given by our Assistant City Manager, Mr. Guardia.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll be quick and happy to respond to any questions. In your packet, you received the legislative report from our lobbyist, and the format next week should change a little bit. You'll have hyperlinks to some of the bills, and there'll be additional bills that I've asked our lobbyists to track. This week is the last week to file bills without needing a special process, and we were expected to have a hearing tomorrow on the municipal land use bill in the Bi-County Committee of the House delegation. That was postponed from this week till next week. But we do have a number of elected officials, including Mayor Kabir, lined up to speak or to provide support for that legislation at the Bi-County hearing. If it passes Bi-County, then it will be introduced and be assigned to committees in the General Assembly. Also, one of the bills we discussed at our legislative dinner was a bill that would raise the municipal infraction possible fine to $5,000. That bill has been introduced. Today, the hyperlink was not active on the website, but it's a very straightforward, simple one-page bill that I believe Senator Rosa Pepp is one of the co-sponsors of. So hopefully we'll see some traction on that. You may have received, I'm trying to remember if it went to you, Mr. Mayor, if it went to the whole mayor and council, information about the bottle bill.
Bottle bill, right.
That's been reintroduced. It's a large bill similar to what was done last year. Unfortunately, in the last couple of years, it hasn't gotten out of committee. It's a fairly substantial sort of new program to do a bottle return bill, but we can look into supporting that if you'd like. And I wanted to point out, this was thanks to our Bike Ped Committee, heads up about a bill that would prohibit stopping or standing in bike lanes, essentially. Yes, that's House Bill 178, and that will be tracked as we go forward. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions or
Good.
to
you have a question?
do some
Dr.
additional
Estes?
research. Yes.
Yes, myself and Councilmember Whitney recently heard from a resident regarding a couple of bills, and I just wanted to ask a little bit if we can find out a little bit more information about them. Sure. One is the Protecting Sensitive Locations Act. I don't have numbers for these, my apologies. The Maryland Data Privacy Act.
Okay.
As well as ending 287G agreements legislation.
What is that?
You said, I'm sorry, the Maryland Privacy Act?
The second one was the Maryland Privacy Act.
Yep.
If you could say the other two you said after that. I'm
Yes,
not sure we picked up
the last, so it's the Protecting Sensitive Locations Act, the Maryland Data Privacy Act, and then the last was ending 287G agreements legislation.
What is that? Can you talk a little bit?
What I have here is that it's about allowing police officers to act as ICE agents.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
Is this?
Okay.
Hard
We
no.
can look into those and provide some information.
It's about stopping that from happening.
It's definitely, yeah, we figured out. Ms. Mitchell?
Thank you, Mr. Gardner, for the report. I know amongst the municipalities, there was a bill, Eric's Law. I cannot have the bill number, so I'll find the bill number for you, but that's something that's supposed to be I can't remember it, I got a blank in my head. But I'll get you information about
Okay.
that, Eric's Law. But then number two, once everyone's finished about these, I guess I just still always want to ask about information about county bills that we should be looking into for us to make note of, as well as to write letters. Yes.
There is one bill, it's CB 2-2025, which is a county bill. It's prohibition on boat parking, and actually it's been introduced by Councilmember Eric Olson. It actually conflicts with our current provisions that we have in our code that we utilize a lot actually in Calvert Hills is one I can think of pretty much every year, and there's an exception. So we're going to work with Pastor Mr. Perez and his staff to work with Councilmember Olson to make an amendment. I believe Mr. Foreman also from has also made contact with his office as well, just to make sure we can make sure it's in alignment and we don't lose our current process that's in place.
Thank you, Mr. Young. And the county council also just had a session, session today or last week in regards to vacant property. There's a bill that they currently have out. Hopefully we can take a look at it and see if it aligns to what our purposes are or not. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any other comments? Yeah, I have forwarded the bottle bill. We actually supported last year, but it didn't come out of the committee. Seeing none, Mr. Gardiner, you got everything you need?
Yes.
Thank you.
Good, thank you.
All right. That's all we have for tonight. Now we go to request for a status of future agenda items. Haven't seen any applications. Let's go to the audience for the final comments. Ms. Mitchell?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And Mr. Young, I just want to make sure I'm seeing this correctly. Next week, we'll have possibility about a discussion about the annexation policy.
It's scheduled on there. I'm not sure if we're going to make that or not, but most likely not. But at this point, but
Okay.
It's getting close. Let's put this.
yeah, we either you know it's there are some things that happened in
Bladensburg?
Annapolis this past weekend that actually helped us a little bit. We got a little bit of reprieve, but if it's something that the council wants to consider, we do have to move fairly quickly.
Okay, thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you for working on it. All right, let's go to the audience. If you have anything you want to speak, this is your chance. I did not see any virtual hands. Seeing none, let's come back to the council. Mr. Rigg.
Thanks. And colleagues and anybody listening from home, I would really just urge you, we did hear a lot of commentary, both pro and anti Vote 16 tonight. There was an extensive amount of research done and information provided in tonight's packet that's available online with regards to this particular initiative. I think there's a lot of misconceptions about Vote 16 that seem to be floating out there. As Ms. Allen mentioned, there's probably only about 50 16 and 17-year-olds who would be, as things currently stand, aligned to be able to be registered, to be able to vote, without taking further action today. And that spread, if you assume that spread more or less evenly across the city, that's very unlikely to sway any single election. But it certainly, I think, could pay dividends for our city in terms of engagement, in terms of future voting behavior, as the information in tonight's packet illustrates. So I really would suggest to my fellow council members, as well as anybody who's listening online, to really take a look at that and really think hard about it. Obviously, not every 16 and 17-year-old is mature enough to be able to vote, but I'll be honest with you, I'm 49 years old, and I know some 49-year-olds who probably aren't mature enough to vote. I think it's a serious serious proposal. It's one that's already been implemented in several other surrounding jurisdictions, and for whatever reason, the worst hasn't happened in those other jurisdictions. They seem to be fine with their polity. We have the luxury of having some extra time here, and I would consider, really urge my colleagues to give it some additional thought. So that's all I have to report tonight, and
Thank you.
Hope you all have a good night.
You too. Ms. Mackey.
Just quickly, I don't want to steal my colleague's thunder, but we had a listening session for District 4, and we're going to have a meeting place in District 4, so hopefully our civic engagement will take off. And we started 2025 with meeting one of our goals of getting out there and communicating more with our residents. So I thank my colleague for her leadership on that, and I hope that more District 4 people will be engaged with us. Thank you.
Ms. Mitchell?
Thank you, Councilman Rigg, for your comments. That I do take them hard, and I will think about this as we have time to really mull over the report again to think about this very important action item. February is Black History Month, and today is Rosa Parks' birthday. And I want to also bring up the mention that we had a proclamation brought to us, proposed, and we all affirmed it as One College Park. I bring this up tonight, not because of Black History Month, but the fact that I hope my colleagues will understand that it's vitally important that people in this city understand that we are an inclusive, diverse community, and that we do believe that everyone has the right to flourish and has the right to attain the goals that they have for themselves and for their families. And with the times that we are living in right now, I hope that each and every one of us here on this dais will be the role models for others to follow. And I am truly making it my personal commitment to continue the engagement and to continue the theme of One College Park. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you so much. Ms. Whitney?
Pass.
And Dr. Esters?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to go back to the original comments made by my colleague, Mr. Rigg, and by Mayor Pro Tem about just where we are in these times and who we are as a city, and want to encourage people to take care of themselves. The city on January 29th posted information about finding support, mental health and immigration resources. Please use those resources. Please ensure that you are taking care of yourself. Take time away from news and other things if you feel that you need to. But most importantly, take care of yourselves.
Thank you. Mr. Hill?
Yes, this past week I was attended the Council of Governments Climate, Energy, and Environment Policy Committee, and learned that there is a new bill that was passed in the county that will allow, or will require in 2027, I believe, new development to incorporate 10% of their parking spaces for EV and the electrical background to have installations of chargers for those spaces, and 5% of those spaces, 5% of their overall spaces would be required to have chargers. So this is something that will go into effect in 2027, but I hope that we can make this requirement already on new developments so that we catch up to that requirement of multi-housing dwelling units having sufficient EV charging to promote EV vehicles. And also there is the Citizens Police Academy coming up again. And that will be, the deadline to register is February 28th, and it will be starting, I believe, on March 6th. I just lost all the information out here. So yes, please consider signing up for the Citizens Police Academy for Prince George's County. It was a very valuable course that I took that it really is an eye-opener to what the county police are having to deal with their why and how they handle things a certain way. It opens up your eyes to the different resources they have and programs they have So it's a great asset, and I recommend anybody with any background in public service, hint my colleagues, to attend this. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Hernandez?
Councilmember here, you graduated from the Citizen Police Academy, right? Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yes, that and the university.
Oh, and the
Both of
university
them.
one, so
Yeah.
both of them, okay.
Yeah.
I just take lessons from Councilmember Hugh every time he wants to share something, and it's 6 weeks, but it's, you know, I champion your commitment. Folks, I just want to reiterate to also take care of yourselves. Had a lot of residents approach me and share their uncertainties of these times. It's a lot of things are changing, but all I want to make sure that you all know is that there is certainty in your municipality here, your government here, and I know that every single member on this dais will answer your phone call or answer your email, or even just be approached in the street to ask a question. I did also separately want to make sure that we celebrated the little wins, like the county letter that we received last week, that they will be that they have deconflicted the issue that they were having with Washington Suburban Sanitary Commission on the Cherry Hill and Route 1 intersection, where they will be building a median to help moderate the traffic up there, the dangerous traffic in that intersection. I am also excited that in the strategic goals that we will be breaking ground on Duval Field. I'm so excited. I didn't hear the date though. Was there a date? Okay, all right, but we look forward to being able to celebrate that groundbreaking soon. Thank you all.
Thank you. Let's go to student liaison. Ms. Art?
I also want to echo that we have very uncertain times. I know I personally know people that will likely be losing their jobs because they're federal employees. So I just think using counseling resources and things like that are very important right now.
Thank you. Ms. McDonald?
I pass. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go to our city manager, Mr. Young. Final comments?
Councilman, just let you all know I'll be starting the Citizens Academy for the University of Maryland Police Department tomorrow. So I'll be busy till June on my Wednesday nights. So every Tuesday and Wednesday nights I will be taken up from now on. But so on Wednesday nights you might have for a couple hours have a hard time reaching me, but I'll try and stay focused on what I don't know yet about University of Maryland Police Department. But I probably know too much as it is. But I am always willing to learn something new. But thank you all for allowing me to be able to participate in things like that. I think it's important for our partners to kind of understand what they're doing and what they're working on and how we can work with them better.
Thank you. Thank you for taking this up. All right. We do not have further comments. So at this point, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Before that, we have a closed session, so I need to read the statement. And it reads as follows. Pursuant to the statutory authority of the Maryland Annotated Code, General Provisions, Article 3-305B, the Mayor and Council of the City of College Park are providing notice that they will meet in a closed session. After the meeting, to, number one, conduct collecting, bargaining, negotiation, or consider matters that relate to the negotiation. The council will not return to public session. At this point, I'm going to entertain a motion.
Second.
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem Mitchell, second by Dr. Esters. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, any abstention? We are adjourned. Good night, College Park.